Welcome to this new Project Motor Racing video, where I invite you to revisit and test the game. Update 1.5.0.2 was released on December 12, 2025. And actually, from what I've read on Reddit forums and in the comments about this update on social media, the reviews are pretty good, and many people say that the driving has been greatly improved. And above all, there are quite a few people wondering why Project Motor Racing wasn't released in this state. Apparently, the update fixed a lot of things, and today, I'm suggesting we test it out to see if it's really better or not. I can't comment on one thing, but yeah, it does look different. The thing I won't be able to comment on is the performance optimization, because apparently with this update, the game is supposed to run better. The thing is, on my end, since the game came out, really since day one, I haven't had any performance issues. I'm always between 80 and 85 FPS around there. So see, if my game increased from 85 to 90, it might not be very noticeable. That's why I'm going to ask for your opinions in the comments. If you noticed an improvement, a deterioration, or no change at all in the game's performance after the update, feel free to mention it in the comments. That way, we'll get a general sense of how things are going. Also, it's true there's a slight graphical improvement. So I would have a bit of trouble saying what really changes. But I think it just looks better. I think, overall, it's a change in color grading that was made. It feels like the colors are a bit more saturated, a bit more vibrant. Another filter was applied, and honestly, it feels a bit closer to something, but I can't say what it reminds me of. I'd say Assetto Competizione or Assetto Corsa. Evo features more saturated base colors compared to Project Motor Racing, which previously used slightly bluish tones. Here, it's a bit more reddish, and it's true that, well, as a result, it actually makes the game a bit sexier to look at. And even beyond this color scheme, I feel like the little details you see in the background are cleaner than before. But it was hard to know if it was a placebo effect or not. I feel like, overall, the game has always been pretty clean in the foreground. The look of the cars, the scenery that's really close, that's always been fine. It's true that if I look at the trees or distant mountains, things farther away, I think that, overall, it's a bit more detailed. So, I don't think there was a major graphical change, at least in terms of rendering quality. I think it's maybe just a tiny bit. I think it's mostly the color grading change that's unsettling, and it makes you feel like you're playing a different game. Actually, it's quite peculiar. However, it's true that there are still some noticeable changes when driving. Now we're in a Porsche Grand Touring 4, and this car is still one of the cars that was particularly reworked with this update. 1.5, 0.2, all Grand Touring, 3 and Grand Touring. 4 cars have had their handling reworked. It seems this was one of the categories hit hardest in the game. I thought the hypercar was in the worst shape. I didn't see any specific points in the patch notes related to the hypercar, so we'll have to test it. Maybe a previous update improved it, or maybe nothing changed. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's true that at first glance my FFD does feel a bit stronger now. Well, anyway, overall I feel like there's something I find a bit strange. I'll need to drive a bit longer to really notice it. Actually, I feel like overall, the car is heavier, and yeah, the force feedback is stronger. On the other hand, I feel like there's a whole bunch of things that have disappeared. In terms of feeling, like here, I'm driving over curbs, I'm driving over small bumps, things like that. And even if it vibrates a bit in the steering wheel, I find that this sensation is less strong compared to before this update. So, after that, the thing is, you can adjust that detail by detail in the game settings. So, I'll check later to see if it might be coming from something that got reset. Or just a new steering wheel setting that needs adjustment. If I mess with my Porsche, you'll probably notice and hear it with the mic. You can still hear the steering wheel snapping back pretty hard, much harder than before. And it's true that you can kind of wonder why it wasn't like that before. I saw some memes on Reddit that really made me laugh. Jan Bell leads Straight4 Studio, the developer of Project Motor Racing. And it's true that a lot of people say it's kind of unlikely to have managed to patch so many things so quickly, because actually the game has only been out for a month. Some people said it was the secret version of Project Motor Racing that Jan Bell kept on his USB drive. And it's true that you can kind of wonder why. in the case of this game, the development didn't get one more month. With another month, the game might have launched in that state, or maybe they needed player feedback to refine the driving. That's possible too, but there are still a whole bunch of things. Just for optimization, for the graphics rendering and all that, which could have been better with a few more weeks of development. And I think we could have avoided the global shitstorm that PMR got hit with. So now, we're going to test our ride a bit. We're going with the Grand Touring 3 BMW, and I've boosted the settings on the steering wheel a bit. The medium and high equalization, which are supposed to be the vibrations that match exactly. Oh yeah, okay, that's got nothing to do with it. So already, I can tell you, oh yeah, okay, alright. So I don't know what I changed. 3 sliders. Oh wow, that's like night and day. Oh, but here, it's a whole different game. But what the fuck then, okay? So here, I tweaked 2 or 3 little things in my settings. The Q for medium vibrations, and I boosted the force feedback a little bit in my settings of the car. With, by the way, I think I set it to 1.10 instead of just 1. Well, guys, this has nothing to do with it, so I don't know, is this the thing? Why do I drive the M4 so differently from the Porsche? Is it the Porsche? It's a car that's really much lighter to the point that it's completely different. Do the small settings changes really make such a difference? Honestly, it's like night and day here. Maybe my force feedback is too strong. It's true about the driving feel, but it's just not the same anymore. I feel like I'm playing a completely different game now, actually, so it's pretty, impressive. And once again, wow, damn, the curbs, you can really feel them now. You might wonder, how is it possible, to have a game like this? But there are some weird little graphic bugs here. Or maybe it's just the shadows on the windshield doing strange things. I don't know, yeah, that's a graphic bug that, you can still wonder about the driving aspect. But how does that happen? That they were able to approve a version so different from this one. Actually, and above all, how can this version even happen? Just 3 to 5 days after the studio announced layoffs for financial reasons due to bad PMR orders. It's hard to understand. They worked there. It's extraordinary, you see. If I let go of the steering wheel. Now you can't say there's no force feedback, right? Actually, what has been changed in the Grand Touring 3 and Grand Touring 4 driving in general is that these cars get an overall grip boost. With tires that grip the road better, cars will be less likely to spin out when accelerating. And it's especially noticeable, that's true, with cold tires, because the tires, we've done, we've done 4 kilometers, and they're not at an unusual temperature. It's nighttime, and we didn't set extreme weather. The road isn't warm. Overall, the cars have better grip, so I can push them to the limit and experiment more. Even with traction control, it'll grip and lose grip, but it's just not the same anymore. It's not like before the update, when the Grand Touring 3 and Grand Touring 4 had traction control. They still had a strong tendency to fishtail, though. It depended on the models. But take the BMW, for example, or the Audi. Those were cars that were really hard to drive because of that. You really had to be careful with the throttle compared to other cars, which meant they were absolutely not even competitive, but almost unplayable in the category, actually. So I'm also going to take this opportunity in this video to show you a bit of gameplay with it. This is the first modded car to arrive on Project Motor Racing. Apart from the Praga doesn't really count because, anyway, it's a car that was developed in partnership with the developers. It's not actually a mod, but it's funny that someone added a V8 swapped Mazda MX-5 to the game. So I don't know which V8 it is, but we'll see what it can do. Let me remind you that for mods installed on this game, you just have to go to the downloadable content category and filter by what you're looking for, vehicle, and then you'll see some things pop up. So those are paid DLCs, and the Mazda and the Praga are free cars. Just click install, it downloads and installs instantly, and you're set. Let's test our V8 swapped MX-5 in the game. I hope more mods come soon, since mods are finally here and attract players to the game. I'm not sure why there are so few right now. Is it because there aren't many players or people making mods? Or is it, or do developers just filter most submissions and only accept about 1% of suggested mods? I don't know. But it's true that it's cool to have this kind of little funny thing. And it's also true that here, the difference in force feedback, it's nothing alike. I think what happened at the start of this video with Los Angeles, I noticed a slight driving difference with the Cayman Grand Touring 4 Club Sport, but it wasn't as intense as with the M4. It's that, in my opinion, I have the same bug as what I saw on, well, it's not really a bug if bug, from what I saw on Reddit. Actually, as long as you don't go into your force feedback settings in the game after downloading the update, it's like your force feedback settings aren't updated. You need to re-enter the menu at least once and save, and that applies, well, everything, the new force feedback system to the rest of the game. And I hadn't done that with the Cayman. I did it when we picked the BMW, and I think it stayed active afterward. For the Mazda we have here, which still, well, like, there's force feedback, clearly, right? In my opinion, that's it. There's a bug that requires re-entering force feedback settings to validate them once, so that it applies to everyone, and in my opinion, with the Cayman, what I was feeling wasn't really the improved force feedback. The slight grip boost we noticed on the Grand Touring 3 and Grand Touring 4 made the drive firmer. That's my theory about what happened with the Moto Race project. Here, overall, the game actually looks better. Graphically, thanks to the color filters, thanks to the little adjustments that were made here and there, it technically runs better. Now, it's up to you to tell me what you think about it in the comments. As I was saying, I can't really comment on any performance drops, so, there you go. Let me know what you thought. Even technically, it's better optimized. From what I've seen on Reddit, it's a bit nicer looking. The AIs seem more problematic, but since the start of the video, we've had no issues with them. So it's true that we didn't really try too hard to overtake. We stayed calm on the track, and even up front, the AIs aren't much of an obstacle. They seem smarter and more responsive than before. So it's true that the AIs, even though clearly I don't think we have, the aggressiveness or the intention of an AI. Sophie from Gran Turismo 7 overall, I think it's not bad, you know? It must be pretty comparable to what's done in other games. So, let's say a bit of Sim4 sim racing, and then on the driving side, but here, it's nothing like that, right? It's really like night and day between what we had before this update and what we have after. So, it's a little bit, well, that's it. On one hand, I feel like they really saved the game quite a bit with this update. On the other hand, it's a shame it's happening now since fewer people are playing the game. Will people give PMR another chance? Will new players be drawn by the HT, or what will happen with PMR? Will this update and future ones be enough to manage it? To get back on its feet, make sales, and become financially viable so it can keep getting updates and support for several years? That's really the question to ask. You saw there, we doubled all the ideas. There, they finally made, well, it's some quick steering, but they managed to avoid me. Whereas, clearly, I'm telling you, if we had played the game, we would have had the same context. Before the last 2 updates, they would have cut me off and I would have gotten wrecked. So yeah, the game is much better now, right? Is it too late? Well, that's for the player to decide anyway, so if you like PMR, or if you're interested in the adventure. Now that many things are fixed, check out the instant gaming link pinned in my channel's video comments. That lets you buy it 30 to 40% cheaper than on the official stores. Feel free to leave a like and a comment to share your overall opinion about the update if you've had a chance to try it. Whoa, I recorded way too late, and as usual, feel free to follow me on Twitch for upcoming streams and use your Twitch Prime to support the channel. And well, listen, I'll see you very soon for a new damn video, and I'll see you very soon for a new video. Ciao.